Hey everybody, it's your guy Xavier Taylor here. Um, Today we're gonna talk about expectations in general and how it makes some people feel, and how certain expectations are just like too much to bear sometimes. What made me think of this is because when I look back of what I was known to have and what I was known to have access to, the expectations with it were high, but not too high to the point stressful. It's just to the point when when I overthink, that's one of the first things that come to my head when I'm thinking. Because when you think of expectations, you think of the person that thinks highly of you and wants to know, that knows that you're meant for great things. Is just that it feels so much that when you fail at something or when you do something wrong, it feels like you're messing up that in so many levels. And to be honest with you, it stresses people out. Um, for instance, mine was a bit stressful because I took it too deep and seriously at a younger age, and kind of got the best of me at one point. But now it's like it's there, but it's not too as heavy as I suspect it to be, or wanted it to be. I know I'm not the only one that had expectations growing up. Everyone, your family, some people, hell, your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, anybody even your friends has expectations, especially when they when they don't view themselves as that yet. It's always the key word is yet, because when you feel the expectation of something, you feel like you have to be that no matter what. And when it gets to the point when you're already dealing with other stuff like school and crap, and conversating with certain people that gets the best of you, sometimes that lingers sometimes on you. You just feel like you're not good enough for that expectation, and you just wish that not everybody has that expectation, which that's okay. I mean, you not to expect so much for somebody either. We're all still healing at the end of the day. Um, ugh, relative wise, it's more like that expectation is like an extra goal that's been set for you without you even considering it a goal yet for yourself. And in hindsight, it's daunting. It really is. But when you try to be that category of what they put you in for their expectations, it takes a toll on you, because sometimes it changes who you are, but not always in the best sense of ways either. It can change you, like, from a person that you were actually likable and that you were good with because that's who you were, but in some reason it changes you so much that you don't know how to relay the fact that you can be yourself again. It's hard to be yourself when you know this. Like, it's hard to be yourself knowing that there's expectations and stuff already going on around your life, especially when it comes to family and stuff. And in honesty, I wish I knew better to not take it too seriously, because at my age in middle school and early high school, I took it to the point that it drove me in a mental state that if I'm not doing this well enough, I'm not good enough to do whatever they expect me to do. And that was my problem. And I'm not saying everybody has that, but there's people that do. And it's not a good mindset, but it's okay as long as you learn from it and move on, which is not easy either. But when I wanted to move on and try to like think of it in a positive measure, it was hard. I can't even say myself that it was easy for me to move on for that. It took me a few years. I'm not even gonna lie. It took me like most of my school years to get over the fact that, even with my parents telling me don't worry about that too much, because even though you know it's coming, it's not gonna be on you until like you mature to be ready. Um, but I thank them for telling me that, because I didn't know the difference from now or then. Sometimes. So when it comes to it, I didn't. Um, I respectively say to the people that got through it, and more so like keep it more rationalized to themselves, because being in that space where you're being told these certain things that you're destined for greatness and stuff like that, especially when the expectations are a bit high for what you saw that you can be at the moment, can stress you the hell out. It can. I'm not gonna lie, especially when you're surrounded people that just has expectations set high regardless. It's just true. But there's people that does live up to the expectations, and there's people that don't. But in the same process, they were all in a stress mindset at one point. Cause it's like I need to get this, I need to get that, I need to do this, I need to do that. And it gets to the point that you don't realize that you're not even being a kid anymore at one point. And like and you're still a kid, you know, you're still a teenager doing teenage stuff, but in the same process, like you're still thinking about like, oh crap, I need to do this because it will change so much that um, that even I wouldn't catch up on until later on. Like back to the other video, like the video not too long ago when I talked about like how you're told this thing works and you should like take consideration of it, even though it might not hit you now, it will hit you later. It's one of those things. It being in that limelight, being in those certain situations, it's not gonna be on the spot like that quick. It isn't. It's gonna take a minute for those like type of like expectations that have big responsibilities kick in later. And we all been told like, oh, I don't have those responsibilities. You know, when you think like, I don't have those responsibilities yet, I won't have them for a while now. That's true, but we're not gonna forget that time does roll really, really fast for what it does. And looking at it, it's daunting. I mean, hell, looking at it now is like, I'm glad that things can change in a way that it's like, you know, the expectations are there, but when you voice it out that it's a bit too much for you to like process, well, not process, but mostly like try to handle the fact that that's gonna happen eventually, it changes your perspective as a person and a human being in that place, you know. And it's okay because that's what growing is, you know. That's what growing is, really. I mean, being able to change something that is still good for you, but it also takes time for you to like get over with, you know. And looking through those times and tribulations that you probably went through as a kid, and still knowing that those expectations are there. And I'm not gonna say everybody has expectations. Not everybody's gonna have them, but there are people like me, for instance, that had high expectations or real expectations to this point. Is like it can either stress you out because you feel like you're not good enough, or that you feel like you're good enough. It's just that you don't feel like you're putting enough work, and it makes you run in circles. But it's something to like sit and consider that I get that these expectations are gonna come eventually, but I'm not in the headspace or in a determination at that to have to get into the loop of saying like I need this. I need this because of this, right? You're still kids. You're still graduating high school, still trying to get to college. Some of us are going to college. Some of us have a job. Some of us are just doing what is we think is best for us at the time being. We're not just going to worry about the big expectation goal at the point. All we know that one of our biggest expectations in that process to at least be doing something provided for you. Like there's people that has expectations to go to college. There's people that has expectations to graduate college. There's some that even that graduate high school. There's some that just has just like you have to like you need to make it. Like those are expectations in example. Those are expectations in example. But there's some expectation like you need to be ready to handle a whole family, or being ready to be able to do this on your own, or like being able to ready to financially or foundate yourself as a person that contributes to society, right? Which is pretty big word and rambling when you really talk about it, you know. But when you're doing it, and especially when there's people doing it, some of them are doing it at a younger age, you're like, dude, you're 16. You have a whole other couple years ahead of you. And plus, I'm not gonna lie, going straight into college for the whole semester was something else, because a part of me wanted to take a break and look at other stuff in the process. But since I already planned what I wanted, I was already doing it. But like, if there's a what if I didn't plan it, what would I do? I would have sat back for a year maybe, try to figure out something cool. Well, try to figure out something new and infectious that will bring people around to check it out or not, and try to make it a successful thing. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do now in this generation, but the fact that you had an expectation that probably makes you think of certain ways to like click, you know, to like click a different mindset, to be like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. I need to really do all of this to even start the YouTube channel. Or I want to start a Twitch. I need to do all these other things to start a Twitch. Like there's so many things that you want to do, but a part of you is like, yeah, I get it. But the expectations behind it is like, that's not what your parents want. But it's not always about what your parents want. And I'm always glad that I'm like to the part that I'm now knowing that, even though my parents told me this, that do what's good for you, but we will check up on you here and there, you know? And I'm glad they brought that up because at one point I was like, if I don't do this, if I don't do this, I failed everyone. And you know that feeling when you feel like you failed, but no one told you you failed, but you just feel like you just utterly failed and destroyed something to you? Yeah, it's a killer, but when you straight like I think the best thing I ever learned in that instance is like be true to yourself, love yourself and how you carry yourself through those expectations. Don't worry about them too much, but you know that they're there and do what makes you understand that you have the time and moment to do what you need to do and what you want to do. It's just that how you want to start with it. I mean, the hardest part is like you know the foundation and where you want to go. Some people it's hard for it to start. It's hard for them to even start it, and some of them is like it's hard to even keep it going. You know, it's hard to maintain it, or it's hard to start, or it's hard to like keep people intrigued or interested. Like it's always something in that formula that is there that will trigger the fact like I need to do this. But in the same turmoil, there was always an expectation, even for yourself. You'll have an expectation yourself because there's times you do good and you're like, people are applauding, you're like, oh, that was up, that's cool. And you're like, yeah, but I know it can do better. Like that's an expectation, you know. It might not come from your parents, it might not come from your friends or loved ones either. It can come from yourself, and you don't realize it until you see it. But like, what was the moment I give myself an expectation that I know that I can do A, B, and C, but I only did A, B, and I know I could have done C. I just didn't choose to because I think I did enough, but I know I could do more. Like that's an expectation that you know to yourself, and that's something crazy. But it's not crazy to the fact that it makes you question everything about yourself. It makes you question these expectations I was taught of or been told of. Were they really worth the stress or the troubles I made for myself to even go ahead and not, and I'm not gonna lie to you, not everybody sticks with them either. Not everybody does. But for there's people that do. And it's like, I get it, but was it worth it? I won't know until I went through it, you know, on this video. And please write down in the comments and description below. Please like and follow. That helps me a lot. That's the best way to help me out on this channel and reach more people. But also everyone have a great day and stay safe and crazy world we live in, man. Seriously.